Hey, what's going on, guys? Just wanted to make another video regarding, and I wanted to talk about the experience that I had down in Medellin, Colombia, when I went in December of last year, and I met this girl. Um, I know it's a topic that a lot of people are interested in because, as I've said in my previous couple of videos, a lot of tourists go to these countries to especially single guys that are young and want to meet women that have a reputation for being, for being attractive and the like. Me personally, and I can't speak for the entire country of Colombia because I've only been in Medellin. I've only been to Medellin. I haven't gone to any other major city. But when I went to Medellin back in December, I wasn't very impressed with women, physically speaking. I didn't find that many attractive women. And those that were indeed attractive had a lot of surgery, plastic surgery done on them. Apparently, it's very prominent. It's very pervasive in countries like Colombia and Venezuela. It's part of their culture. There's been a lot of documentaries previously done in the last couple of decades talking about how people down there, especially women and even men for that matter, take their physical appearance extremely seriously. And Venezuela obviously is one of those countries that has had a lot of women win beauty pageants. It's probably the number one or number two country of all time. So they take their beauty seriously, and a lot of them resort to plastic surgery in order to look their very best. And Colombia is a neighboring country, and Ecuador, same thing. So they tend to get into have these types of procedures down there, and it's relatively cheap. When you consider it, when you compare it to the United States or other developed countries, it's relatively cheap, and they have very good plastic surgeons down there. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about my experience that I had with a girl that I met down there. What happened was, one day I was extremely bored. I wasn't doing much of anything. It was raining that day, and so I wasn't able to really go out. If you remember, this was still in the height of the pandemic. It was December of 2021, like I mentioned, and the pandemic was still raging, especially in Colombia. So I was very bored that one day, and I decided, for whatever reason, to download a dating app just to check out and see what was out there. And I created my profile right immediately. I put up a couple of pictures. I put up my country of origin, which I think had a lot to do with my ability to attract some attention. That definitely has some cachet down there. When you put that you're from the United States, or if you put down that you're from Canada, or you're Europe, you tend to get a little bit more attention than otherwise you would get, even though I'm not saying that Colombian men that are down there and use these apps don't get the equal amount of attention. But that didn't hurt the fact that I put down that I was from the United States. So I created my account. Within about, I want to say, 2 to 3 hours, I got a message from a girl that found me interesting, and she wanted to get to know me. So we started exchanging messages on the dating app, and after about a 15 to 20 minute conversation, we exchanged WhatsApp numbers, and we continued our connection, our conversation via that app. And basically we were just going through the motions, the typical, where are you from? Are you single? What are you doing here? What is your profession? What are you looking for in these types of apps? So we were just basically asking a bunch of questions, just getting to know each other, essentially qualifying each other in order to find out whether we were a good match or not. And if I recall correctly, this was back in this was like on a Wednesday when I created the app. Actually, it wasn't. It was on a Thursday. It was on a Thursday. So we started sending each other messages, and then I found out that she actually worked for a bank called Bancolombia, I believe it's called. And she was working in that profession. She was working in the banking industry. And in Latin America, they don't have your typical 9-to-5 job like you do here in the United States. You know, here in the United States, you work 8 hours and you're done. You take an hour lunch, half-hour lunch, and then you go back to work and you take your 15-minute break, and then once the 8 hours come and go, you basically log out and you go home. Very rarely do you get overtime pay. Well, in Latin America, it's not like that. In Latin America, you can be working anywhere between 10 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. So her schedule was extremely busy. That was precisely her working hours. She was working anywhere between 8 to 12 hours a day. So so we were not able to actually arrange a date right away. So I had to wait for her for a couple of days until she was free. I actually wanted to meet her on Sunday because I had some arrangements. I had some plans of going sightseeing on Saturday, but she insisted on meeting on Saturday night because apparently that was probably the best time for her to meet me. So we agreed upon our date, and it was scheduled to take place on Saturday night, 2 days after we had originally contacted each other. So Saturday came and went, or actually came, and we were talking about where we were going to meet, what type of a restaurant we were going to go to, and we decided to go to a place called Crepes and Waffles, or Waffles and Crepes. I don't remember the exact name of it. And they have these types of establishments in Medellin. They have them all over the city. And the one that we agreed to meet in particular was located in a place called Plaza Florida. It's a big shopping center that is a multi-level, multi-tier shopping center where your typical mall, basically, right? I mean, the typical malls that you see here in the United States and that you see in other countries, that has a lot of clothing stores, restaurants, jewelry places, you name it. So we decided to go there, and so I told her, okay, that's not a problem. Let me do a Google search and I'll be there. Well, I told her that I was already on my way, and the reason I said this is because typically the reputation that Colombian people have is that they're not very punctual. They may tell you that they're gonna meet you at 5 p.m. for example. You agree to meet at 5 p.m. and next thing you know, it's already 5:40 and they still haven't showed up. And they usually show up, half hour to an hour after they had agreed to meet you. So it's a reputation that they have. I'm not saying that every Colombian is like this, but I have heard that is part of their culture, that they normally don't necessarily arrive at the time that they tell you they're gonna arrive. So because of this, I told her that I was gonna be that I was already on my way to the location, when in reality I hadn't even left my Airbnb. I was still inside of my Airbnb. And so what she did is she immediately hopped on her motorcycle. What she wanted me to do is she wanted me to drive her using her motorcycle. We were going to actually drive to the shopping center, and I told her there's no way in hell I'm going to be driving here in Medellin. The traffic is absolutely chaotic. It's very dangerous if you're not familiar with how the traffic works in Medellin, I just wouldn't take that risk. And during that day that we actually met, it was pouring. It was pouring rain. We had a storm. And when I was walking to the subway station called San Javier, that was the closest metro station. So I walked down there to San Javier, and I noticed there was a motorcycle down on the pavement, and a couple of the driver and the passenger, the lady that was sitting behind the driver of the motorcycle, they were actually down on the pavement. They had slid and they had fallen down. So it was a very dangerous conditions. Those were pretty dangerous conditions to actually drive anything, especially a motorcycle. So I told her, no way, I'm not gonna drive anything here. If you want to take your motorcycle, you're gonna have to do it on your own. I'll meet you at the place. I'll take a taxi, or I'll take an Uber or a Didi. Well, I decided to take the metro, and as I was making my way to the San Javier metro station, she actually called me, and she told me that she was already there. She was already in the location. She arrived way before I was expecting her to get there. And long story short, I couldn't find the place. I got to the Caribe station. I walked a couple of stations, and I finally was able to make it to the shopping center. And I arrived there about 45 to 50 minutes after the time that we had originally decided that we were going to see each other. So, in point of fact, I was the one who actually got there late. And she was really upset. She told me that she was on the verge of leaving. She wasn't going to meet me anymore. She was pretty fed up, and her body language, when I arrived there, her body language was giving me all the negative vibes and the indications that she was pretty upset by the fact that I had lied to her when I told her that I was already on my way to the shopping center. So anyway, I arrived there. I gave her a hug. We went to the Waffles and Crepes location. We sat there. We were basically having our date we were there for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and we were just talking about her profession, her career, my career, where I was from, how come I hadn't gotten married, why I didn't have any kids. She is about 10 years younger than I am. So that was the reason why she was asking me, these questions about the marriage and why I hadn't gotten married or had any kids. I don't have any. So we were there about 2 hours, and then she told me that one of her nieces was having a birthday party, and so her family was already in the process of having a party at her uncle's house. So that's the reason why she couldn't stay there much longer. And I remember after the 2 hours, we decided to call the date, call it a night. And we went down to the main floor, and then we went to a store called O2. I think it's called O2. It's like a Dollar Tree store, because I had to buy some stuff. So we walked into the store. I bought the items, and then we walked out, and then we called a Didi. She left to her place, and then I went to my Airbnb, and that was the end of it. That was the end of the date. And I tried meeting up with her again after that night, because I still had about 3 to 4 more days before I had to come back to the United States. And I reached back out to her the next day, which was on a Sunday, and we had a brief discussion. But I believe that she was pretty turned off by the fact that I had arrived 50 minutes late, and we never saw each other again after that date. But one word of advice that I would give you if you are in the thinking about going to Medellin, visiting down there, and visiting for the reason that I just discussed, to meet women, because obviously they have as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, they have a reputation of being very attractive women. But one word of advice that I would give you guys, even though I met this girl online on an online dating app, I wouldn't recommend doing that, because there's a couple of other women that reached out to me, but these women were actually escorts. They were prostitutes. They were not normal, women like the girl that I met. These women just wanted to hook up with you, and they wanted you to actually pay them, and that was that. The reason why I don't suggest you guys doing this is because if you meet an escort over the internet on an online dating app like this, there is a probability, there's a chance that this girl might try to rob you. They may try to actually drug you and rob you of your personal belongings. As a matter of fact, when I was talking to this girl on the dating app, she immediately brought this up to my attention. She told me, you got to be very careful who you meet on these type of dating apps, because a lot of women actually use this tool in order to find naive guys that really don't know the culture about what some of these escorts and prostitutes actually do, and they drug you, and they eventually rob you of your belongings, and it could be even worse. You can seriously be injured. So my advice would be, if you're gonna meet women down in Medellin, if you do go down there and you want to meet women, you can meet them in person. You can meet them in the streets. I don't think there's any doubt that you can actually hook up with women by talking to them in person. I remember when I arrived there, I was talking to girls, and they were really friendly, very receptive. I wasn't necessarily hitting on them. I wasn't sexually explicit toward them. I was just having a normal conversation like I would have with any human being. But my point is that they are very receptive to your approach, and they'll talk to you. And a lot of these women are not, not women with bad intentions. They're not, trying to plan some sort of an attack. They don't have a premeditated type of a deal where they want to essentially eventually drug you and rob you. It's spontaneous. So these are just normal women, normal, typical women that you see in any part of the world that are just walking down the street, and they're going about their business. They're going to work. They're going to school, whatever the case may be. I would meet them in person instead of using these dating apps, because that way you'll have less of a probability of getting in this type of trouble. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to make this video and talk about my experience with these girls. I mean, like I said, there are some women that are attractive. Me personally, I don't like women that have plastic surgery. I just don't find it appealing. I don't find it attractive, and I saw a lot of that down in Medellin. And like I said, I was only there for 10 days. So if you're going down there for about a month or 3 weeks or even longer, chances are you're going to have a better chance of meeting women and getting to really know them a lot better, and going from there. Yeah, I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more about my experience that I had. I know that in my previous video that I was talking about Medellin, I broached the subject a little bit, and I talked about my experience, my encounter with this girl. But I wanted to have I wanted to make another video to have a more thorough conversation about what really happened. But I would say, yeah, it's a nice. I mean, there's a lot of places in Latin America that you can meet women. You can go to so many different places. It's not even funny. But Colombia does have a reputation for having beautiful women. I'm not saying that there isn't beautiful women. It's just that they're far and few between. And I'm talking about the girls that are naturally beautiful. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. I don't want to belabor the point here. I don't want to make this video longer, but I just wanted to share my experience with my date that I had down there, and it was worth it. It was worth my time. Anyway, I'll talk to you on the next video. Thanks for watching.